Hello dear listeners, and welcome to our enchanted realm of timeless tales. Today we delve into the universe of the famed Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. We explore his magical fables that have transcended borders, captivating all ages. We traverse the path of one of his most loved stories, the tale of the fisherman and the fish, a tale that is a perfect mixture of magic, love and wisdom, with a reminder of the importance of contentment. This narrative will transport you to a realm where the mundane meets the magical. So get comfortable, let the world around you dissolve as we embark on this magical quest. Listen carefully as the sea tells its tales and the wind carries past echoes. In a world where tales are alive, we commence our story by the tranquil sea, in a humble hut, home to a fisherman and his wife. Once upon a timeless grace, in a snug little hut perched by the vast serene sea, resided a humble fisherman and his dear wife. They called the weather-worn, cozy hovel their home for 33 summers painted golden by the sun, and winters wrapped in a shroud of sparkling white. Every dawn, with the first blush of the sun, the old man would kiss his wife's forehead, pick up his weathered fishing net, and set out to sea in his trusty old boat. His life was the rhythm of the ocean waves, his heartbeat in sync with the rise and fall of the tides. His wife, a figure of quiet strength and enduring love, spent her days spinning tales and yarn on her old distaff, her hands telling stories that echoed the music of the sea. Their days were simple, their means humble, yet their hearts were full of contentment. They would spend evenings together, sharing stories and laughter, basking in the warm glow of the setting sun, while the sea hummed lullabies in the background. Their love was as deep as the ocean, as enduring as the tide. Their life, a beautiful dance of simplicity and joy, was a testament to the fact that richness doesn't lie in possessions, but in love and a life lived in harmony with nature. As he cast his net once more, it descended deep into the ocean's heart, returning to the surface with nothing but a collection of seaweed. Undeterred, the fisherman cast his net a third time, the weight of hope heavier than the net itself. As he pulled it back, a solitary catch glistened amidst the tangled nets. A magnificent goldfish, its golden scales reflecting the sun's rays, making it appear as if it were a tiny piece of the sun, lost in the ocean. Never before had he seen such a marvel. The goldfish's eyes held wisdom beyond its size, and to his utter astonishment, it began to speak with the eloquence of a seasoned orator, its voice soft yet assertive, like the distant whisper of the ocean waves. "Return me to my ocean home, old man," it implored. The fisherman, struck dumb with amazement, could only stare. 33 summers he had fishing, yet never had he heard of a talking fish, let alone encountered one. His heart pounded in his chest, caught between the awe of his extraordinary discovery and the entreaty of the golden marvel. The fish's pleading gaze met his, an unspoken promise of reward hidden in its depths. Swallowing his surprise, the fisherman carefully removed the goldfish from his net, his rough hands gentle against the smooth, pulsating body of the fish. His voice, textured with years of bracing the sea winds and softened by the kindness that was his, whispered to the fish, "May God's blessings be upon you, my dear little goldfish." With a heart swelling with compassion and humility, he let the fish slip back into the vast ocean, its golden body disappearing into the depths. He hurried back to his wife, excitement fluttering in his chest, to recount the morning's extraordinary event. "I caught only one fish this morning," he began. His wife, her character a stark contrast to his humility and kindness, cut him off mid-sentence, her greedy heart ready to scold her husband. The aged fisherman ambled back to the placid seashore, where the cerulean waves frolicked lightly, their dance reflecting the carefree mood of the day. He called out aloud for the mystical goldfish, and as if on cue, the goldfish swam up, its scales glistening under the sunlight. The creature demanded, "What is it, old man, you are wanting?" The fisherman, with a respectful bow, conveyed his request. The goldfish, for its part, murmured in response, setting into motion a series of improbable events. Back home, the fisherman's wife was a picture of humility and simplicity as she witnessed the magic. A wave of greed washed over her. Initially, her heart wrestled with the idea of misusing the gift they've been given, but soon the desire for wealth and comfort overrode her initial hesitation. For the first time, she found herself scolding her husband, her voice louder than ever before. The fisherman, content with his simple life, was taken aback, yet he loved his wife and decided to placate her. He returned to the seashore. The once tranquil sea now appeared wilder, mirroring the growing storm of greed within his wife. Once again he called for the goldfish, and the goldfish, with an air of anticipation, swam up and demanded his request. The old man, with a heavy heart, relayed his wife's demands. The goldfish murmured in response, and as it disappeared into the sea, an ominous cloud cast a shadow over the seashore, a silent warning of the consequences of unchecked greed. The fisherman's wife, now living in a cottage far grander than her humble hovel, was still not satisfied. Her eyes, tainted by greed, saw only what she lacked. Her humble husband, her simple life, all appeared insignificant compared to the wealth she now desired. "I want a palace," she declared one day, her voice echoing throughout their new home. "I want to live like a queen with servants at my beck and call." With a heavy heart, the fisherman returned to the seashore. The waves crashed against the shore, mirroring the turmoil in his heart. He called out to the golden fish, his voice barely audible over the roaring sea. The golden fish appeared, its scales gleaming with an ominous glow. The fisherman relayed his wife's demands, his voice filled with a deep sadness. The golden fish, for a moment, remained silent. Then, with a sigh, it granted the wish. As the fisherman turned to leave, the golden fish warned him of the dangers of unchecked greed. Soon, the humble cottage was replaced by a grand palace, the likes of which had never been seen before. The fisherman's wife, now turned queen, reveled in her new status. Servants scurried around her, fulfilling her every whim. But even this was not enough to quench her thirst for power and wealth. She desired more. This time she wished to control the weather. "I want to command the winds and the rains," she declared, her voice echoing throughout the grand halls of the palace. The fisherman's wife, now a queen in her own right, reveled in her newfound power and wealth. But as the days passed, her desires grew even more outrageous. "I want to be the ruler of the universe," she declared one day, her voice echoing throughout the grand halls of the palace. The servants paused in their tasks, exchanging worried glances. The fisherman, hearing this, felt a sense of dread settle in his heart. His wife's unending greed was spiraling out of control. He tried to reason with her, reminding her of the golden fish's warning. "My dear, we have more than we could ever need. Why do you wish for more?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. But his words fell on deaf ears. The queen dismissed his concerns with a wave of her hand. "I will not be satisfied until I have the power to control the universe," she declared, her voice filled with determination. The fisherman, filled with dread, knew he had to return to the golden fish once more. As he left the grand palace, he couldn't help but wonder if his simple life by the sea was forever lost to him. So back the old man turned his footsteps. Not a sign did he see of his hovel. In its place stood a new gabled cottage, with a chimney of brick, newly whitewashed. A fence with oak gates stood around it, and there sat his wife at a window. When she saw him, she scolded him roundly. The old man then returned to the seashore, where the ocean was restlessly foaming. He called out aloud for the goldfish. The goldfish swam up and demanded. With a bow, the old man said in answer. The goldfish murmured in answer, "Tall mansion." To his wife the old fisherman hastened, and what did he see? A tall mansion, on its white marble stairs, his old woman. She was wearing a rich sable jacket and headdress in gold all embroidered. Her neck was with pearls heavy laden. She wore golden rings on her fingers. She was shod in the softest red leather. Zealous servants bowed meekly before her, as she cuffed them and rated them roundly. The old man then approached his wife, saying, She angrily bade him be silent and sent him to serve in the stables. First a week slowly passed, then another. The old woman grew prouder than ever. One morning she sent for her husband and said. Her husband implored her in terror, saying his old woman grew madder than ever, slapped his face and then shouted in passion. The old man went down to the seashore. The ocean was swollen and sullen. He called out aloud for the goldfish, and the goldfish swam up and demanded. With a bow the old man said in answer. The goldfish murmured in answer. Approaching the golden fish with a heavy heart, the old fisherman submitted his wife's outrageous final request. The golden fish, now enraged, rebuked the fisherman for the insatiable greed of him and his spouse. It decided it was time to teach them a lesson they'd never forget. With a swift swish of its tail, the golden fish revoked all the wealth and power it had bestowed upon them. Both the fisherman and his wife found themselves back into their humble abode, their old washtub, and the simplicity of their former life. The golden fish vanished back into depths of the ocean, never to be seen again. The scene wraps up with a potent moral takeaway about the perils of uncontrolled greed and the importance of satisfaction in one's life. Under the twilight sky, as the sun dips below the horizon and the sea gently lulls itself to sleep, we find ourselves musing over the tale of the fisherman and the golden fish, a tale that speaks volumes about the perils of unchecked desires and the beauty of finding contentment in simplicity. We saw how the humble fisherman and his wife, lured by the illusion of endless wealth and power, lost sight of the simple joys they once cherished. Their unbridled greed led them down a path of dissatisfaction and eventually to their downfall. The golden fish, in its wisdom, taught them a lesson they would remember for the rest of their lives. A lesson that reminds us all to value what we have, to live a life of gratitude, and to find satisfaction in the simplicity of our existence. So, as we tuck ourselves into bed tonight, let's carry this story in our hearts. Let's remember the golden fish's wisdom, and let's promise to appreciate the simple, beautiful things in our lives and to be content with what we have. And as we say goodnight, remember, dear listeners, to cherish the simple joys in life and to be content with what we have. Good night and sweet dreams. May your dreams be filled with the wisdom of the golden fish.